This is Dr. Khan at ACL Academy, and today I'm going to touch on a step up, step down variation or progressions that we like to use for quad strength building during your ACL recovery process. Before I get further into that, if you guys have been following along and found some value out of these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Any questions or comments, throw them below. We get to every single one of them. And of course, more importantly, share with a fellow ACLer that can benefit from these education and tips. So I'm going to touch on some step up down variations that we like to utilize here, more so for quad bias or quad bias strength building. We do use this early in the recovery process, but these are what we call closed chain exercises, weight bearing exercises. So what does that mean? We want your swelling to be reduced really before we get into this type of stuff. So these progressions may not start to month 1 or 6 weeks. It really depends on how fast you can get the swelling down. And of course, it'll depend on your surgery itself, whether you just had ACL reconstruction or meniscus involvement. So yes, you would want to clarify that with your surgeon or your rehab specialist. But these are progressions that we like to use. And I'm going to go over a few of them and some recommendations that we make, and then some variations and some adjustments you can make based on how you're responding throughout your care. So again, when do we start this stuff? Usually around 4 to 6 weeks. But more importantly, we do want you being able to weight bear, being able to walk, as well as, more importantly, we want swelling down in the knee, because swelling is a direct correlation to stress in the knee joint. And if we add weight bearing exercises like this too soon, we may stress more and we may cause swelling to stick around. So have that in mind. So just to get into it, what I like to use, everybody's going to have different steps or variation of step heights. We like to use our bumper plates for something like this. We understand you may not have that. So just to clarify, usually we'd start with something that's maybe like 4 inches, right? Because it'll be tough in the beginning just to get started with this. The first thing that I like to start with is learning how to do a quad bias step up. So I'm going to show you from a side angle here. You would place the foot on the step itself. And what we really want to encourage early on to get quad activation is we want you to drive your knee forward, okay? And when we drive our knee forward, if you're looking down, you should see your foot disappear, okay? And that'll tell me that you have a good, what we call shin angle. So that'll help load the quads up right away. And then this way, we want you to learn to push up from here, okay? So basically, my chest, my knee, and the front of my shoe should all be in alignment. So this helps me bring my body weight over the shoe itself. It helps load the quad, and then I push up from this position, okay? In the beginning, you're going to avoid this, right? So you may put your foot here and then step up from this position. And you may do what we call like a hinge, right? You're going to get more glute activation. You're going to get avoidance of using your quad muscle. You're going to work hard, but we're not going to get much work done. So super important. Foot goes on the step itself. You're going to shift your body weight forward and then lift up from here. And if this is difficult, you can go to a lower step, like a 2-inch step as well. Or what you could do is use some assistance. So if you grip anything really to help you, you could use 2 hands, 1 hand, but basically, or a countertop if you're doing this at home, anything really, where you could put a little bit of weight through your hands. We're going to drive forward and then push up from here, okay? And we want to try to maintain the weight on the side, so this way the leg is working the whole time. And the descent is also important, right? So when we descend, we're not going to just fall back. We want to encourage you to bend the knee forward again and then drop down, okay? So we're going to lean forward, drive the knee over the shoe, chest comes over, body weight. That means the leg is loaded, quad is engaged, push up from here. And if you need the assistance, you use it from your hands. So how this will be progressed, obviously this is 4 inches, and eventually we would like you to add another plate to this. This would be 8 inches, right? So it's kind of like a normal step height. And we would do the same thing here. Load forward, push up, and then push back down. And depending on what you're working for, you could leave the working leg here and really just work on quad work, right? So this leg is loaded the whole time. Or if you're working on just kind of engaging and moving the knee in the proper direction, you could step down, right? And then encourage yourself to step up, right? So you step up, drive forward, come up, and then back down. Once you get good with that, I would probably start to load from there. So you take some dumbbells in your hands, and then you do the same exercise. Okay, so that's a step-up variation that we like to use. Then we also want to work on stepping down, right? Because this is a harder contraction. It's a lengthening contraction. And it's more difficult to do, and it's very functional, right? Because eventually we want you to go downstairs. So we would start this the same way, 2 to 4 inch plate. It'd be something like this. And how I progress this is I would do this from the side first. It's a little easier. And again, you could use some assistance here, right? So holding on, this is my working leg, holding on maybe with the opposite arm just to kind of balance off a little bit. And basically want to control the contraction, tap my heel down, and then come on back up. Here, we're just making sure that we're watching good knee position, that we're not caving inward, that we're not hiking our hip. We want to stay as controlled as we can, tap down, and then come back up. Okay, so we're really working on the lengthening. If you want to get a better burn, you could do it a slow contraction, and then come on back up. Okay, and as you get good with this, you take away the assistance. You can do this without assistance, same thing, work on the control. Okay, so we want to just tap the heel down, and then come on back up. Tap the heel down, come on back up. Once 4 inches good, you'll go to an 8 inch. Okay, same thing here. This will help you control the contraction, watch the knee, and you're really trying to lengthen that muscle. Okay, keeping hips level, keeping knee in alignment, not caving in. And eventually, as that gets good, you can begin to load that. Or the next step from there would be to do a forward step down. Same thing. We would drop down to 4 inches first, use assistance. But once you get good with assistance, right, you're going to do same thing. This foot is the working leg. You're going to go to the edge of the plate, and we're going to work on controlling the motion, tapping the heel, and we want to engage our knee forward. Okay, that's going to get our quads to work. And once you get comfortable with here, you're going to load to the 8. Okay, same thing. Get your comfort level controlling the motion. So you want to let this knee drive forward. You want to tap your heel, come up out of it. You want to try to keep your knee in good alignment, keep the hips level, and then work through this progression. As this gets better, you're also going to load with dumbbells. We want to encourage the strength building. And these progressions may take weeks, may take a couple of months, but little by little you want to load the quads. So this is about 8 inches. You could go to a 12 inch. I wouldn't go much higher than that. And the reason being is the higher you go, the more you're going to get activation in other muscle groups too. And if you truly want this to be quad building, I would stick to that 8 inch. And that's how we do our step up down progressions. Do a quad bias step up. We do the step down side lateral tap. And then we also do a forward step down. And then you could combo that. I didn't show you this either, where we're going to work in both directions, right? So if my working leg is again is the left side, I'm going to come over. Okay, I'm going to tap forward, and then I'm going to tap back. Okay, so now you're working both ends of the contraction, lengthening forward as well as shortening back. So we do the concentric and the lengthening on the eccentric side. So you could play with this where you're doing combos. You could play with it where you're just doing touchdowns, and then you're doing back and forth. So there's many different variations that you could utilize, both loaded and unloaded, utilizing dumbbells or not. But that's how you can progress. And I love these as closed chain exercises. They're very functional. Everybody needs to learn how to do stairs. So this is a way to build strength, to build confidence, and to build control. If you have any questions, drop them below. If you guys find some value to these channels, please subscribe to it. And more importantly, please share with a fellow ACLer that can benefit from these videos.